There are so many demands on you. Demands at home, in the boardroom, and in the bedroom. You have to be jack of all trades, wearing a different hat when the moment arises. You're on all the time, always on the clock, always catching up. Take care of you. Introducing Your Media, your podcast network that meets you where you are, when you need it, time, in your space, when you feel like it. You come first. Your Media, where you are. Married to Me with Popo takes a provocative look at our ideas of self and family in the 21st century.
Welcome to another installment of Married to Me with Popo. Um, I'm really excited about today's show because it's very personal for me. It's something that's really, really close to my heart. It's someone that's really, really close to my heart, and it's been a 15-year journey that's been treacherous. Um, Yeah, in studio today, I've got Jabulile Vilakazi, who has experienced so much in her life, levels of trauma and tragedy that I think most of us couldn't imagine. And she's come out, I dare say, even just being alive is quite miraculous at this point. Um, Most people who know her as Val or Valencia. um, I think I've kind of chosen to. I've decided I'm going to call her Jabulile now because there's so many things that's her other name that are attached to Val. That I think she'd like to leave behind and graduate from. Valencia, welcome,
Hi.
welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and have this conversation. I think a lot of us probably think that we go through a lot. Um, I'm not saying that the things we go through are invalid, but I think your story is one that will highlight to people that they probably have a lot more resilience than they think. Um, so I think I'd like to start with when I met you. I met you in 2005 um, at after. Um, tell me about that, Val. Tell me who you were. Tell me what your home life was, what your aspirations were.
So when you met me after, I was still young, I was naive. I didn't know much about, the Joburg life, the Joburg scenes.
Yeah,
And I had dreams and aspirations to be a director, film director.
yeah,
It was really, really different for me moving from Sunwood Park because I grew up in a small town, Sunwood Park, and I grew up very traditionally since my dad was very traditional. And already when you met me at that stage, I was already going through something.
yeah,
My dad had been brutally murdered. They say due to the taxi violence. But as more investigated, it seems like more family oriented than taxi violence.
yeah,
Yeah, at that time, so I was still going through that, and my mom was still wearing that mourning clothes. I remember,
yeah.
and she was going through a lot
Mhm.
as well because there were a lot of threats in her life.
Yeah.
And then my siblings from KZN were moving up that were not my mother's children, so we had to interact with them. So there was a lot going on while I was focusing on school because I just thought to myself, I will focus on school and you know what I mean, do the after thing.
Yeah.
And I was really enjoying it.
Yes.
But I remember I was still very stuck to my mom because every weekend
Yes.
I'd go home.
Every weekend you go home and your mom had a salon and your hair was always fresh.
Yes.
The rest of us were really slumming it at varsity. Like we're just like, I don't have a TV. You had a little computer, little desk, a little chair, a microwave. Like your mom really um doted on you. Like she really like you were a very, very well looked after young woman.
Yes, and I was used to it
Yeah.
because I grew up very spoiled in my house.
Yes.
You would be bribed for most things, and like it was really nice being spoiled. I didn't realize that I had everything.
Yeah.
Being spoiled is something else. When those people that spoil you are
Mhm.
no longer there anymore, you
Yeah.
just realize that how, you know, you don't know much about the world. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that I grew up in a bubble. I
Yeah.
really did not know much about the world.
Yeah.
They tried to protect me from anything
Mm.
around the world.
Mm.
Yeah.
So after your father's murder, um, you had mentioned that there were things that were being said to your mom from the very people who had murdered your dad. Where was your mom at that point? What was going on there?
My mom was literally planning for a funeral. She'd already tell me about her policies, and she's like, you know what? There's B3. If anything happens to me, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Remember when we were on holiday in Durban, she'd call me and say, you know what? These people are actually going to kill me, believe it or not.
Mm.
And I was just like, no, mom, we can move out, we can run away. And she's like, no, she's not going to run away. She's not going to move out.
Yeah.
Move out. Up until the day where I spoke to her for the very last time.
Mm.
We were home, as spoiled as usual. We're like, Mom, you're gonna come back with that chicken. Remember? And she spoke
Yeah.
to all three of us. And I remember
Yeah.
Generation was playing at the background.
Yeah.
And she's like, today I'm not coming home. She was actually at the house in Jamestown with the taxi stay and she was paying the drivers. That was her last day on earth and it was a Monday. I remember that I wasn't in varsity at that time. I was home due to a fight I had.
Yes, yes. You still carry the scar on your face
Yes.
from that fight. I remember.
Yes, with beauty. So
Yeah.
I think I was meant to be that I should be at home for that time. And we spoke to her for the last time. She's like, you know what, I'm not coming back. And I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? And after we hung up, 20 minutes later, my uncle got a call that my mom was shot. That's when hell broke loose. I mean, I've just barely grieved my father,
Yeah.
just kind of getting used to the things. But now my mom being gone
Yeah.
and knowing very well that she didn't just die from nowhere. You know who the killers are. She said, if I
Yes.
die, this person and that person had killed me because of money. You know, our family, my dad was everything to his older brothers. He took care of them. So when he passed away, they panicked. I don't know what they did, but they organized to kill my mother. Up until my brother was actually arrested for my mother's murder. I remember I went to the scene immediately before the ambulance got there.
Yeah.
And I saw, that was the first time I saw somebody being shot, actually. That was my mom. And I tried to wake her up and I saw there was no response. There was no life there. And I didn't know what to do. So I actually took her bag.
Yeah.
I remember that my cousin was there. She was like shot as well.
Mm.
She couldn't explain to me. She was crying,
Yeah.
and everyone was really far away. And you know, it's usual to my family to say that we didn't hear the gunshots. That's how they were. Even when my dad was being killed, I mean, 36 bullets. They're still like, we didn't hear the gunshots.
Yeah.
Yo,
But what was the so you had a really, really close knit family, like your nuclear family. But what were the dynamics with your extended family? I remember you sharing some of those with me. I mean, there were a lot of tensions, and even with the deaths that happened, the death of your mom, the death of your dad, other family members, it was family that was responsible for all those deaths. What were the dynamics, and what was the root of the family's issues?
because my dad had three kids that were not my mom's kids. So
Mm.
what my uncles and them did, they convinced them that my mom will take everything and they'll end up with nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, all of my siblings, before they call me, before they die, they say, we're sorry for what we did to your mom. I mean, my sister, half sister, came smiling to my mom's funeral. They wanted my mom dead because they thought that that's not their mother. So why should they care? They want
Yeah.
their dad's things. So those were the dynamics already there.
Yeah.
And our uncles turning their back on us because obviously they were just in it for the money.
Yeah.
And we were very young then. We were kids, you know, and it shows you because I wanted to pay revenge. You know what I mean? I wanted revenge. But because my mom was a person who prayed,
Yeah.
you know, through God's grace, it
I remember.
is so amazing what God can do.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone who was behind my mother's death actually died. It got to a point where I did forgive my siblings. I remember my sister calling me in varsity and she's like, do you hate me for what I did with your mom? I'm like, no, I don't hate you. I've got assignments to do. So, you know, when I'm done with this thing, because I knew that at that point in time, I had to carry on with facing for my future. I mean, I
Yeah.
buried my mom this week. The very next week, I was at school. I think you remember.
Yes, I remember.
Because we had as directors, we just had a cut line. It's either you're
Yes.
coming or not. I was like,
Yes.
instead of staying for the gossips
Uh-huh.
and everything else, and then my life was in danger at that point in time
Mm.
because they could see that, I'm carrying on with the system.
Yeah.
Now, my uncles and brothers were turning against each other now. They were shooting each other. So
Mm.
basically, it was my uncles going after my brothers. So my brother got out of jail from my mom's murder, and he got murdered out of when he was in bail. And then my uncle striked again. He striked my brother. I
Yeah.
remember we went to the police. Begi Cele was there actually,
Mm.
and he sent his private police so that we can go to my brother who didn't want to give us the taxi money anymore.
Mm.
And he had his police, and he said that we must leave our uncles out of this because that tap that is opened for my
Yeah.
uncle to kill my brother. They've
Yeah.
received many threats, so it's best we keep our brother there. And it was good that he was running the business at that time. It was better than the money our uncle was giving us.
Yeah.
But eventually, as a bait, he also died. Then my sister died. So the three kids that were not my mom's children, they all passed away, which is my brother died at his mom's funeral.
You told me.
Yes, at that point in time. So with the deaths of
Oh.
them, it just instead of mourning, it elevated, the fear. Instead, like we're not celebrating and such, but we're like, whew,
Yeah. It was relief.
it
It
was
was relief.
relief.
I mean, I think I'd like you to share what you had to do to save your own life with relocating. I obviously know a lot of these stories, but the person listening doesn't know. So you were at the time actually when your mom passed on, we were planning your umemulo, which is
Yes,
basically your coming of age. You weren't that was meant to be in April. You were
yes,
turning 21 and your mom passed away February.
yes,
So you were still 20.
yeah.
I'd like you to share what it is that you had to do in order to save your own life and your two sisters' lives who were in high school at the time.
Yo, I had to move out of my house in the middle of the night. With also greedy estate agents, they took me to Four Ways. That was our hideout. It was so difficult for my sisters because they were still in Boxburg High. So what I had to do is my uncle used to drop them off
Mm.
at my sister's friend. And then my sister's friend would go to school with their car so that because my brothers were waiting outside Boxburg High, they know our cars looking for them. So that's how they couldn't find them.
Yeah.
Middle of the night, I couldn't trust anybody but my uncle. I
Yeah.
had to leave everything I know behind. It
Mm-hmm.
was so hard leaving that house, but I knew that that's the only thing I can do
Yeah.
at this moment in time if I want to stay alive, if I want to survive.
Mm.
And my brother, the older brother, knew where my school was. So after when he
Yes.
passed away, I was like, phew, I had one less person that could follow me home or whatever. So we had to stay in that protective service for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, communicating only by telephone with my uncles.
Yeah.
Yeah, before they passed away. But they passed away when we were really far from them. And I remember they were supposed to do a traditional ceremony
Uh-huh.
at the house, and they found a house to let, actually. And I don't know where they ended up doing the ceremony because I wasn't going to stick around for that.
Yeah.
I planned with them the ceremony. I'm like, oh, buy goats. I even
Yes.
gave them the money to do that, but knowing very well that I'm
That
not
you
gonna,
weren't going to be there.
no, not at all.
That you weren't going to be there.
I'm not going to be there. I
Yeah.
mean, it was in May when our dad's best friend also got murdered. He was supposed to take care of us,
Mm.
and I already was taking over this driver situation and this taxi situation and this fetching the money from my brother. That was like so dangerous because although we'd moved out, we still depended so much on the taxi money. So
Yeah.
my sister's life, we had to, because she got along with my brother,
Yes.
she had to go and take the envelopes. And imagine at that time, she's like 17,
I
18,
remember.
and she has to collect this money. You know what I mean? And sometimes she'll meet my brother saying, yo, I've just dodged a bullet, literally dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to go to the space where I think I saw that you began to change. You and I had been friends for 2, 3 years at that point, and as much as we never dabbled in drugs or anything. Yeah, we liked to drink. Yeah, we smoked weed sometimes, but it was really like harmless fun, you know. And then when you were staying, I think it was the house, the double-story house. I don't, where was it?
In Kamog, North Riding.
Yes, North Riding. And I'd just had my daughter at
Yes.
the time, and I'd come there, and I remember you'd lost a lot of weight because I mean I thought Val's being strong. I don't know how she's doing this. And then I think it was at that point that you started adopting certain coping mechanisms. I don't know when you were introduced to drugs, but I know that at that point you were definitely drugging.
Yes.
Um, when did you start? How did you start? Why did you start?
Okay, at first, everyone around me, like my girlfriend at that time, Beauty, and the people I hung out with, were using the drugs. They never slept. So I felt very alone. You know what I mean? And I thought,
Mm,
might as well try this. And then after I tried it, I was like, oh my God, I've never
mm,
felt so much better, which was now a coping mechanism that I used because, what had happened to me before losing my mother.
yeah,
I lost everything. My mom was my best friend.
yeah.
The life I knew was gone. No more choir,
Mm,
nothing. So that bit of cocaine really made me feel like I was really on top of the world. So those were coping mechanisms I was using at that time,
yeah.
until I used it until, I mean, I had the money to do it as
Mm-hmm.
well. It really got so bad. I
Mm,
remember my sister had to fetch me. I think I had taken too much, but still I didn't stop
yeah,
you know and sometimes I'll take a break from it, you
yeah.
know what I mean, so I can mend mine in your relationship, because I knew that
Yes.
you definitely don't do such things. So my
Mm,
druggy friends, at the back of my head, I didn't know that those are not really true people. It's just the people I call so that I don't have to think about what happened to me.
yeah,
And things started going down spiral. Drugs make you very depressed.
yeah.
They make you very suicidal. Like when you're off from the drugs. I mean, I used to take so much more than the other people around me. I remember some people would come to my house and say, "Hey, if it's this person who's taking the drugs, I'd rather go home because it never ends." And
Yeah,
it never really ended
yeah,
with me because I didn't want to calm down. I didn't want to go back to my real,
yeah.
how I'm feeling. I
Mm-hmm.
say, it helped me, but it wasn't helping me at the same time.
Yes.
At the same time, it was destroying me inside. I didn't realize that.
Mm,
But for me, I was really coping with that because I was just visiting them before I did the heavy drugs.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember noticing at some point that I'd come to your house. This is when you were staying just off Witkoppen. Hey, there's so many houses. And I'd come to your house and you'd literally sleep for 2 days. And I couldn't wake you. I couldn't, you were literally not sleeping, you were unconscious. And I think at the time I was in denial about the fact that it was drugs. I really just thought you were an alcoholic. But then I started seeing I'd see you drunk, but it almost seemed like there was a psychosis there. And you'd point things out that weren't there, and you'd like, when did you start to feel like you were beginning to lose your mind? Because I saw it, Val. Like I saw it. I'm not even going to ask if you felt it because I know you did. But something happened. Something snapped. When you were very paranoid. You were convinced that your sisters hated you. You were convinced that your sisters wanted to rob you. You know what I mean? Like you just had this. You had this panic. You were reckless. You were gambling. You were always intoxicated. What was going on in here?
So, coping with the drugs, coming off as a problem. And then the drugs that you do, not enough anymore. I started experimenting with crystal meth.
Mm,
And crystal meth, wow, the first time I did it, I remember I saw cards all over. Like, your cards, you're playing cards like
mm.
flipped upside in my whole house. I remember staying 3 days counting those cards. That's when
Yo.
I lost it. I
Mm,
started seeing ghosts. I started
mm,
seeing things that were not there. If I'd go to the mall and I'm high, everyone that was on the phone was talking about me. I was
mm,
convinced of that. I was really scared of the outside world. So
mm.
therefore, the only place I could be was the casino. Because, nobody notices you there. You
Yes.
just gamble and gamble. And I didn't care if I lost or won. It wasn't even about winning. It was just about escaping.
Yeah.
Because I felt like my house had ghosts. So every night I'd go and gamble and come back in the morning and sleep. And
Mm.
sometimes I wouldn't sleep. I mean, crystal meth, you can stay up for 2 weeks. I think the longest I've stayed up was those 2.5 weeks. And I mean, I've completely lost it because whether I was on the crystal or off the crystal, I still felt the same. That's how
Mm.
much I took it. Imagine going to a mall, everyone just on their phone, like
Yeah.
harmlessly, you think they're thinking about you.
Yeah.
And then these visions of my parents passing away and the taxis. So if a taxi parks next to me, I'm thinking, what, everyone in there, they're out to kill me right now.
Yeah.
That's what I started believing, and I believed my own sisters actually wanted to kill me.
I remember.
You know what I mean? Like, I was so afraid of them. I was 100% afraid of them.
Mm.
It really didn't help that I had family members that, distant family members that were not good for us. They just told me that, oh yeah, they definitely want to kill you. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going crazy. But at
Mm-hmm.
that time, I think I was losing my mind, Popo.
Mm.
Seeing things, obviously, I remember you came in and I didn't like my boyfriend that I was with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? And I saw things around, and I think that was the worst you've seen me. You, Popo. It was so bad. I couldn't even stay alone in that
Yeah.
house. Yeah, and I remember I
Yeah.
had this older guy friend that would visit, but when he's gone,
Yeah.
he smelled really badly. I remember, but I was
Yeah.
tolerating that because I didn't want to be alone and see these ghosts.
Mm.
Yes.
And I think another thing that just left you really vulnerable was that being afraid of being alone. I think you attracted a lot of people into your life who were just after your money and offered a false sense of security for you, knowing what they would gain from that. So really, it was more beneficial for them if you were perpetually high, perpetually drunk, because you just gave. You were
Oh,
like, I'm gonna let's drug. I'm gonna drink, let's drink. I'm gonna spend, let's spend.
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this guy, Carl, he's a white guy. I actually
Hmm.
even find out now that's why I was arrested.
Yeah.
Remember, I had my dad's gun for a very long time, actually. And I don't know what he did with it. He took it and he was trying to sell it. Next thing, my sisters tell me that he called the police, actually, and said that I have a gun at the house. Then I got arrested for 4 days.
Mm.
I almost went to Sun City for a gun that actually killed people after my dad had passed away. I was going to face many, many years. I found out from my sister now because I was losing my mind. I trusted this guy, Carl. He was some white guy who was married to somebody. I found him at the casino. He was homeless, I think, at that time. So he wanted to take everything up until the point when I came out, I think on bail or for the day. The cop said, "What's going to happen to your stuff?" Like, he made me sign my whole life to him. I had literally had signed my whole life to him. And he was getting me further and further away from my sisters. If my sisters
Mm.
didn't step in at that time and paid bail for me,
Yeah.
and actually, you know what? Help me that the docket is actually, no more. Otherwise, yeah, God,
Let's not admit crimes on air.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I can't
Yes.
imagine me being in Sun City for something I absolutely.
Did not do.
That gun was big enough to break my arm. Like, if I
Mm.
used it, I would have killed myself.
Yeah. But Val, I remember being quite concerned that you had guns in the house because you did have some psychotic episodes. I know for a fact that there was a time where you threatened the girl you were dating with a gun. And
Yeah,
I believe that if she hadn't gotten away, you would have used it.
I was going to use it. I was really mad. I'm so glad that I couldn't find her
Yeah.
because had I not found her, I was going to kill her. It
Mm.
seemed like the Eminem show, but hey, I was going to kill her. When you look at it now,
Yeah.
and I'm glad because imagine I wouldn't be sitting here right now if
Yeah.
I did that because I'm really not a killer, but those were the drugs and guns. They really
Yeah.
don't mix. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's fast forward to, I don't know what happened because we've had gaps in the past few years where I'll see you, then I won't see you for 2 years, I'll see you, but you know what I mean? Where now the last place I'd seen you was that place by Witkoppen, and then I called you the one day and you said, I'm staying in Fos, and I was it already Fos? So the first place I saw you at when I came was Lindy and Nikita.
Yeah.
Was it also Fosli?
Yes.
How did you end up there? What happened between the last time I'd seen you and that day?
So after the arrest of the gun, my sisters had taken me to hospital, South Rand Hospital for like crazy people.
Yeah,
Oof, I was really difficult for them. They sent me to Baragwana Hospital,
yeah.
still in the mad people's ward, and from
Hmm.
there I went to um Santon. I
Okay.
just forgot what it's called, but it's another like psychiatric.
Akeso,
No,
Akitara.
Tara.
Okay.
Yes, I went to Tara.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the worst time. But I met my friends there, like they
Hmm.
were really, really mad, Maxine and them. And then coming out from there, they needed somebody to take care of me.
Okay.
Yes, and then my uncle, long old uncle, Uncle Cosmos,
Hmm.
he's the one that actually took me back to my mom's hometown.
Okay.
And they said that I was going to stay there. Imagine, like in
Mm.
case that in Rutu.
Yeah.
Yes, so I went to stay in Mutu for a good 3 or 4 months. I
Hmm.
really couldn't take it there anymore. I mean, the life is so slow,
Yeah.
water so far.
Mm.
I mean, they've just had electricity 2006. And then
Hmm.
I convinced a lady from church,
Yeah.
Mama Ptelezi, I want to come and live with her.
Okay.
And then that's how I came back to Fosterus.
Mm.
And then when I got there, I didn't want to live with her anymore because I was still psychosis. I just left
Yeah.
and I said, can a family member take me? And then my aunt, who stays in Extension 28,
Hmm.
yes, she took me. I call them the Mapisa family.
Okay.
So yeah, my aunt, it's a like long distance. Basically, she's my cousin because her father is my mom's brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So I stayed with them for a while and I realized I was not happy at all there
Yeah.
because when I was receiving my money, I wasn't just spending it on myself. They
Yes.
also had needs. You know what I mean? I don't want to really extend on the way I was treated there, but it was
Hmm.
just so bad. All the things that I thought were happening, they made me believe it. Like
Mm.
the assassins are looking for you. So I'd be scared to come out.
Yeah.
Whereas like who's looking for me in Fort Forest? There was nobody
Yeah.
until I came to my senses. I was like, you know what, I'm going to move out and get a room.
Okay.
And that's when you found me, when I had that room. And I wasn't doing the drugs at that time.
Yes.
I was still just not quit, but I guess they were not available.
Okay.
And I didn't know where to go for them. So that's when
Okay.
you met me, when you came.
And by that point, was at that point had your sisters already, because I mean your behavior was erratic, and I know that at some point your sisters basically took control of the finances.
Yeah.
At that point, had they already taken control of the finances? Because I
Yes.
remember you complaining that they don't give me enough, they've taken control, they're trying to take everything from me. I'd listen to you, but I was just like, the reason they've taken everything from you is because you are out of control. So at that point, had they already taken control of the business's finances?
Of course, they had at that point. Since
Okay.
I went to the Tara hospital, they started taking full control.
Yeah.
And obviously, my family at the other side was convincing me that I'm not getting my full share. You know what
Okay.
I'm supposed to get.
Because obviously they benefit from whatever it is that's sent to you.
Yes. So they were telling me that my sisters are out to get me. I
Yeah.
mean, taking me to traditional doctors saying that they want to kill me, so I must send a killer spell back. And when we speak with my sisters now, they also believed I wanted to kill them, which was not, well, which was true in a sense because I thought they wanted to kill me. So I was also doing things that, you know what I mean? They should die, I shouldn't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my family made me convinced, and I was going to these traditional healers that said, yeah, definitely they want to kill you.
Yeah.
Imagine,
Yeah.
because I think now that I look at it from the other side, they were just trying to fight for my life. But no, no, no. I was convinced they're trying to kill me.
Hmm.
Yes. And I mean, after that, I also got reintroduced to drugs and I started experimenting again with crystal meth.
Okay.
My family, they were so desperate at that time that they didn't mind me selling the narcotics at the house.
Hmm.
So I'd go back to them now and then, but they'll always ask me, when are you dying? Like, I was like, okay.
Mm.
They're like, oh God, we're just waiting to bury you right now. I'm like, all right. Are these people okay for me? And things just really, really, really got out of control. I couldn't pay rent for a room anymore.
Mm.
And that's where I ended up in the hostel. I wasn't taking
Yes.
heroin at that time, but that's when I started experimenting now with heroin.
Okay.
crystal meth wasn't doing much for me. So I was going from people's houses, up into the hostel where they provide this heroin.
Okay.
And oh my God, I fell into a deep, evil hole.
Mm.
I mean, I remember writing a letter at rehab about saying goodbye to the heroin. You know what I mean? Because once you fall into that, I mean, your life is gone. Literally, you are dead. I think so. I was dead inside. I really did not know that, and I didn't want to be saved. I thought, you know what? As long as I just don't live another day. I didn't want to live anymore because the stress, the traumas, and knowing very well that although my sisters have taken care of the business, there's some man that's staying in my father's house without paying rent. There's still some flats, you know what I mean? Imagine you're homeless, but then your home is occupied by another person that's not actually even paying rent. I never thought those things would be solved. You
Yeah.
know, that whole was like, you know, committing suicide was always a plan for every day. But I thought how I'd kill myself is by overdose.
Okay.
Because any other way for me, it seemed too much.
Mm.
So I thought, you know, the overdose would do it. I mean, when I was doing this heroin, I remember conning people and saying that I'm poor, they must buy me stuff that I not resell at the hostel, and selling those 5 phones I told you to different people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please explain that story.
So what would happen is I'd sell a phone to somebody, and probably that phone was stolen, whatever, but I'd buy it from another junkie for 200 rand, and it's probably worth 800 or 1.5.
Yeah.
So the person would rob me and gave me 800 rand. I wasn't happy. So I'd go to the cops and tell them that, you know what, that phone is stolen, and this is what happened. So they put me in the back of the van, and there I was, pretending to cry and everything, and go to this person and be like, hey, this phone, you know, is wanted, and the cops would be like, okay, it's either you get arrested, or you know, you pay a fine of 1,000 rand, which I got a share from that fine.
Yeah.
So if I saw that we could do it for one person, I repeated the same situation up to 5 people. So everyone actually who knew me, who knew Vicky, which was my nickname there, wanted to kill me because I now ripped them off. I was like a con artist. I did things just to get my next fixed because if you don't, you're gonna die. Like I remember some people die from the downer.
Okay.
Yeah, and the worst that would happen to me because I was dirty now.
Yes.
Being homeless, obviously very, very dirty. You don't have a place to shower.
Yeah.
You don't have anything. You don't have your nyaupe on the road. And it was really, really, it broke my heart, eh?
Yeah.
It really, really did. I was unrecognizable.
You were.
I remember seeing some of my friends from Boxburg High and Folslow. Some of them wouldn't recognize me.
Yeah.
Another friend of mine, Deboho, she did recognize me because I was big and I didn't recognize her. She's like, Valencia. I'm like, yes, this is me. She was in tears.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing how very well that how I grew up. I was sleeping in the streets even when it was raining.
Yeah.
You know how you do it? You just cover yourself with a whole lot of plastic underneath the blankets so that you can be covered from the rain, but you can hear the raindrops. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. At that point, that's when I started praying.
Okay.
I started praying very, very hard every single day that can I just not sleep like in the middle of nowhere anymore. I remember sleeping on the grass on the way to the rank. So I'd have to wake up before the people start going to work. Some of them would see me waking up from there and would be like, oh my God, what a situation you have over here. I'm like, little do they know, little do they know.
Yeah.
And I'd carry on speaking to my sisters, would send me like 100 rand a day. I spoke to Zola every single day. She's just like, when are you coming home? I'm like, these people are so crazy. What home? We don't have a home anymore. You know, thinking about that Summit Park. That I will never forget my life on the streets. Eh? It was really, really difficult. Other junkies beating you up for the money you've just made by begging. Because probably I was better than them in actually getting this money. I remember I became a queue marshal actually. Yes, these women would be surprised when I'm taking their plastics. And they're like, where's the cube marshal? They're like, you're speaking to the cube marshal.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember when the taxis were going, they were going to this place. I forgot what this place was, but it's a place like a shaking place in Forsterus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the name of the place was. I just forgot.
Yeah.
But that was the place actually. Yeah, so the Q marshal for then, and then they also fired me, finding out that I used the money for the drugs. Because,
Oh,
most people would be
wow.
so shocked. I'd
Yeah.
attend the meetings, with the.
Yeah, and I mean, you're intelligent, you're educated, you can speak good English, so I'm sure you seem like you're above board,
Yes.
until you're dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. Like someone could come from the best family, but once they're in the grip of drugs, with that good English, they shady. You know what I mean? They will do anything to get their hands on what they need to get their hands on.
Of course. You'd even sleep with people just to get your next fix.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, because when I went to the rehab, when I
Mm.
was going to test for HIV, I was really scared.
Mm.
I really had done some mistakes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That one guy, for whatever the case may be, I was terrified.
Yeah.
When they came out clear, I was like, okay, it's fine. But I
Sure.
was ready to accept it because, you know what, it was my mistake,
Sure.
actually. But on the streets, I mean, you convince people to buy you 5 kgs when they want to buy you one, like, I have to cook forever. Meanwhile, you're going to actually sell it. You're going to sell that food. You
Mm.
really are not in your right mind because everything's about the next fix. If you don't get it, you're sick. Your
Mhm.
first yawn, your yawning is like, now get your money together.
Mhm.
Get all that money together and you will do anything. I was even washing cars at that
What
moment.
do you mean your first yawn?
Like when you yawn,
Uh-huh.
it's not a normal yawn. When you're on
Okay.
heroin, you don't just yawn.
Okay.
You yawn when you're about to experience what you call it a downer.
Okay.
It's a withdrawal
Yeah.
symptom.
How bad does that get?
It gets really bad. You yawn like every 5 minutes. Next thing you're gonna have sniffles.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know that is bad. Then when you
Mm.
have stomach cramps, it's over for you.
Mm.
It's really when you're baking, you're literally like holding your stomach. And
Mm.
soon after that, if you don't get the heroin, you're actually gonna have diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
And soon after that, you're going to vomit. I think I even wrote a song about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
I'd like to. You can share your song, honey. You can share your song.
I call it Turi Turi Me Me Yo Kisha 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 Mala Kiri Papa Rota Mala Kiri Papa Rota Mala Abanye bayavuka bayahlanza abanye bathi thina siyopanda it's abanye basuza amabhanana ngoba sonke siphethwe i-downer to unwind
Wow.
qhaqa nge-Taiwan. Yeah.
So, it's actually not funny. And
And that's how I felt it, that it was a turi turi me, kisha 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 mala. Because you really have the papa or some mala first. Then you know. You need to get 30 bucks now.
but here's what I think. Well, I think the reason you've gotten to the other side, one of the reasons is your sense of humor. You know what I mean? I mean, I have seen you laugh at things that are not even close to funny over the past 16 years that I've known you.
Yeah.
And I think that has been one of your coping mechanisms, and I think it's the same for me as well. And but I've not been through anything anywhere near what you've been through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want you to tell me how your recovery started. What was your road to sitting in this chair right now? Where were you, and how were you taken from that place to the place where you were going to get help?
Or if I could say I was kidnapped, my
Yeah.
sisters really couldn't take it anymore. So they didn't wait for my decision to say yes.
Mm.
They just thought enough is enough. Genoeg is genoeg.
Mhm.
So what they did was just take me with a bunch of cops, had a court order on me,
Mhm.
and taken me to Freedom Recovery Center,
Yeah.
which I could say it's one of the best rehabilitation centers in your life. You know what I mean?
Mm.
There I found the people that were going through the same thing as me.
Mhm.
Someone that greets you on the other side comes from heroin, and you don't believe it, and that's how they look. So I was first in handcuffs there, saying,
Yeah.
I know my rights. Abby, who's one of the house mothers, reminds me of how I got there
Yeah.
with the convoy, very famous. She says she was shaken. She was very nervous that this person coming here, it's not your normal rehab, like I'm coming in nicely. She's in cuffs, and I was in cuffs. As soon as I got, I'm like, yes, I know my rights. I was fighting, I was
Yeah.
feisty. And
Yeah.
they told my sisters, oh, don't worry, she'll hate you guys right now, but
Yeah.
she'll gain to love you.
Yeah.
And then I remember going with the nurse when she was tasting my urine. I was like, do you know how sick I'm going to be? She's
Yeah.
like, yes, we do.
Yeah.
And that's when they put the Suboxone underneath your tongue. Suboxone
What's
is
that?
it's something that cools you down if you're a heroin addict and you detoxing. So
Okay.
you put it under your tongue. It makes you think that you've had heroin, but you haven't.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes Suboxone too soon is not good, but they have to wait for you to have those symptoms of withdrawal.
Yeah.
And then you put the Suboxone, then it calms them down. It doesn't take them off completely.
Okay. Okay.
You had the rest of the work you have to do yourself
Yeah.
because you're still gonna puke.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, Papa Rotsambala was just my puking at that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh my word, it's 7 days detox because they can't give it to you for longer than that. Because some people are addicted to Suboxone,
Okay.
and some people use methadone, which methadone is not good because it has its own withdrawals.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
from the heroin. So I had my 7 day detox. I still wanted to get out of there. I went to
Yeah.
the social worker's office every single day. When am I getting out of here?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go back to the streets because
Yeah.
I can't handle it. My body was in shock.
Yes.
That's like the first rehab after how many years of taking drugs?
How many years was it?
I'm thinking since I was 22. That was like 2007.
Yes, 2007.
Yeah, and it got stronger and stronger, obviously, over these years.
Yeah.
So my body was in shock
Mm.
because I'd also take rock as well, something for 50 rand that just loosens up your body.
Yeah.
We call it a fork and knife, so it's rock and tie that you do smoke. Yeah, rock and heroin. Oh my God, that made my body. I could walk a long mile after that.
Yeah.
You would literally clean the kitchen and even like shine the taps. That's how much energy you'd have. But then my body is not used to not having that substance.
Okay.
I was suffocating.
Yeah.
I really was. And at the rehab, they don't play. You wake up very early for devotion. I hated the devotion, but then I cried the very first time we had the church because they, put church first there.
Yes.
And then it was that song, Jesus, Friend of Sinners. Oh my God. For the first time now, I'm feeling emotion that I was running away from
Okay.
all these years.
Yes.
That's when like I started cry. I cried, I think, the entire church service.
You never mourn.
I hated the crying as well. People, I was like, oh my God, am I going to cry this whole service? But I did.
Yeah.
And I went to the social worker, Ayanda. She also made me, like, put me into my emotions.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to forget Shelly.
Yeah.
She's one of the counselors there. Oh my word. Like my role model. You know what I mean? Like, the people you meet they are so different, And Abby, who was a house mother, who had gone through what I'm going through. So I'd ask her every step of the way, so is it okay? Like my stomach is bloating up. She's like, oh, those are the symptoms. You're going to get used to it. I mean, it got to a point where then I was like, it's either I'm going to hate this
Yeah.
or I'm going to make it work for me.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was putting danger to myself. And I realized that I hadn't mourned. And I realized that crying is really not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Counseling is really something you do need. I mean, if I knew there were such things before I started taking these drugs,
Yeah.
maybe I would have went the alternative way. But you know what? I don't regret what I went through because it made me stronger.
What did it teach you?
It taught me that, opening up, going through that emotion, facing it again, and facing it, with sobriety. We don't have to face it with narcotics. There are other alternatives. There are people there on the other side to help you. And because they put God first, it says that the first step you do there is you have to admit that there's a higher power. And you don't have control over yourself, the higher power does. So you've got 12 steps that you do. So the first step is to accept that, I've completely lost myself.
Yeah.
Actually, the higher power is there to assist me.
Yeah.
I don't know how. If you don't believe in God, like I really don't know how we're going to do it because I know other people don't. But like me inviting him back in my life
Yeah.
because I was living with the devil. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Every single day. Now I tell him that you know what to go next door.
Yeah.
So that part to admit that there's a greater power more
Yeah.
than me and I'm helpless right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Admitting you have a problem.
Okay.
Admitting and recognizing that drugs are not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because they start off as a good thing, but with heroin, it was no longer good for me. It
Okay.
was now desperation.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got through that part of heroin because if I didn't, there were no withdrawals and other drugs. It's just,
Mm.
you know, so I realized that this is it. I gotta
Mm.
make it. I gotta
Yeah.
fight. And I
Mm-hmm.
think your mom was praying for me. You were praying for me, Fred. I think I had a
Yeah.
whole lot of support
Yeah.
behind me that I didn't realize that there are people who actually want me back.
Absolutely.
There are people who actually want me to be there. I felt worthless to everyone else. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Friend, I thought when your life is going on, you don't need me. My sisters should just carry on. They don't need me.
Yeah.
I felt worthless in life. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
didn't feel like anybody needed me.
Mm-hmm.
And worst of all, my niece actually really did need me.
Yeah.
Today, she doesn't understand why I went away for those years. I'll explain to her one day
Yeah.
what had happened.
Mm.
So knowing that there are people who care and
Mm.
need you, that are willing to greet you on the other side,
Yeah.
was what I took the steps in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a song they play by Lauren Daigle saying, "Look up, child." So I started like being in this devotion
Yeah.
every single day and saying, look up, child, because I used to write things like, Lord, make it rain, like all the knowledge in my brain. Okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
almost cleansed, my body has no stains.
Mm.
I've lost the use of my heart because I did. It's just an artery that pumps the blood through my veins.
Okay.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
When you lose your heart, like really, it was just an artery. It had no feelings.
Yeah.
I started to, I had to make it feel again. I had to like all the precious things. And being at that rehab made me remind me of home because Shelly was from Parkland, went to the same school as me. And
But
wow.
Shelly from up?
Yes.
She's watching.
Wow. Hi, Shelly.
Yeah.
Definitely. And she was from Sunny Park, and it reminded me of home. And
Yeah.
Auntie Shaz, who woke me up. I call her my evanescence. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because I got there, I didn't want to shower for like 3 days.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that problem?
Yeah.
Yo. And then, wow, I did, by Auntie Shaz, like really forcing me into it now and getting out. So I really had to find my feet. I never
Yeah.
thought I could write very well without the drugs.
Okay.
I thought, no, man, I need the drugs to write something.
Yeah.
Then I started writing poetry
Mm-hmm.
at the rehab, starting to write about all my feelings
Yeah.
and everything. I remember there's a social worker that was working with Mr. Dube. Oh God, I hated him so much because he came to the hostels. He was following me for a good year before I got to that rehab.
Oh.
I know. And,
Wow.
and when I saw him, there's like, oh, you're responsible for this.
Yeah.
But you know what? For a man who doesn't even know me, like, and work that hard,
Yeah.
it was God because I realized now I prayed every day, not to sleep
Yes.
in the streets. So it wasn't going to happen my way.
Yes.
It was going to happen God's way. So that's when I accepted that things don't always
Yeah.
have to go my way.
Mm.
Being spoiled is that bad. I mean, I lost a best friend of mine, I'd never forget. That
Yeah.
added trauma to my
I
life.
remember. She committed suicide.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were on the same page. We both had lost it. She had bipolar.
Yeah.
And for me, and when I got to rehab, I was diagnosed with MDD,
Which is?
mood dysfunctional disorder.
Okay.
Yes.
Explain.
Yeah, it's more like you are very suicidal, you're very depressed, you're low and under the world, and it's caused by trauma, from your background.
Okay.
So I guess my trauma led me into that diagnosis, actually.
Yeah.
I remember when my doctor, Dr. Lawrence, said, like, I explain my story like I'm Hitler. Really, I do. Like, it's
Yes.
or Batman of the situation, which
Yes.
is I shouldn't
Do
do
you
that.
know what I remember, Val? I remember going to your house the one day, Remember, you were saying earlier on that all your family members, like that, were they killed each other, basically all of them.
Yeah.
You literally opened this file and you took out like 20 death certificates, and you were just showing me one by one, completely devoid of emotion. You felt absolutely nothing. You're like, this one's dead. This is how they died. This one's dead. This is how they died. I'm the only one that's left. But there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. There was no emotion whatsoever. And I think that was one of those instances when I was just like, Val's in trouble.
Yeah. I was in trouble.
Mm.
I was very numb, as I said. That at that point, that's when my heart was just an artery
Yeah.
that pumps the blood through my veins. The use
Yeah.
of it was gone,
Mhm.
was really gone. And it's a dangerous place to be. Like,
Mm.
when I got a court order to go to rehab, I was in danger to myself and others, which is very
Mm.
true.
Yeah.
Like, Shay's told me that, how you explain your story, you just walk over a dead body. Really, if I had to see one now,
Yeah.
you'd walk over it and not have such emotions.
Mm.
And still, I'm working through my emotions. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yes, I've got my medication that balances me,
Mhm.
and I've been clean for 9 months now.
Oh, amazing.
Yes,
9 months. That's
9 months.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yo,
Well
and
done. Well
wow,
done, Val. Like, I don't think that's something that we should skip over. That's a huge, huge step. That's huge. And what is it? I think, have you answered the question for yourself? What is it? Because I mean, you really haven't adulted. Generally when people come onto the show, I ask them to send me a bio, about what they've done, what they. I'm not even saying this to be insulting, but you haven't really done anything. But I think now's the opportunity to rewrite your story. What do you want that story to look like? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be remembered for?
I just want to be remembered for my resilience,
Hmm.
and I want to show others that no matter what you're going through, because obviously also music saved my life.
Hmm.
Really,
Hmm.
anything you're going through, you can beat it.
Yeah.
Be determined. What doesn't kill you really, really, really makes you much, much stronger.
Mm.
Take it as one day at a time and don't say, God, why me?
Yeah.
People have been dying since World War II.
Mhm.
Really, Jews being killed. Why them? Why me?
Mhm.
Don't do that. You're not going to go through something for no reason. There's a reason you're going through that.
Yeah.
It's actually making you a better person.
Mhm.
And I'm glad to have rewrite my life now being an adult.
Yeah.
I want to remember it as that writer, that
Yeah.
poet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your song was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, friend. And I think I'm gonna still write more songs and more poetry,
Yeah.
that
Mm.
relate to life. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I don't know what to call my book yet, but I want to collect a book of poetry because there's so much poetry that I've written
Yeah.
actually, that is inspiring. I bought some of it here, but I don't think I have the time to read
Mm.
it.
Mm.
But you know what? As soon as I can, I'll share my
Yeah.
story with other people and share how you view things. View
Mm.
it from a director's point of view, from every angle.
Yeah.
Don't just view it from one angle.
Yeah.
View it from every angle
Mm.
and pursue your dreams no matter what.
Mm.
And you know what? Whoever hates you, your enemies or the devil, I just like beating him in his own game.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
always makes me happy.
Yeah.
And knowing that my parents are here with me in spirit.
Yeah.
And what kept me alive is how, like, would they look at me? How would they want me to be? You know what I mean? They wouldn't want me to be that person. And it's a good thing I didn't do something for a while because I would have tarnished my name. I
Mm.
really wasn't well.
Yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
really was not well
Yeah.
to do all those things. I mean, I'm going back in with the business with my sister now.
Amazing.
She's still continuing. She's strong. She's standing for us.
Yeah.
I know that tomorrow I'm going to wish them good luck because the drivers are eating some money, so all the owners are going to the taxi rank in tracksuits to force the drivers, to make the right loads.
Yeah.
I wish her, the best.
Yeah.
Because she's the person. I mean, Portia is the one that can do that.
Mm.
I'm a little worried about my younger sister. I think after me leaving, They
Yeah.
had to take on a whole lot
They did.
that they did not know.
They both became mothers. They, yeah,
Yeah,
they did. I mean, really. And as much as you were young, they were even younger than you. Like,
much younger.
you know, um,
She even says that her 15 years of life, because she was 15 when I took over, she
mm,
owes it to me. So, that's when I started blocking my feelings, but it
yeah,
wasn't, it was eating me inside. And I'm so
mm,
glad that they've grown because I never thought this day would come.
yeah,
But I think as well, Portia is the strongest.
yeah,
She's really strong.
mm,
Zodra now is now feeling the punches as older she gets.
mm,
And having a child when I wasn't there,
yeah,
I never thought I'd meet Zodra's daughter.
mm, mm,
Imagine it was so close, and she didn't doesn't have a grandmother.
mm,
We don't have family
yeah,
to fall back into. And Portia's recently found somebody, and she loves that
yeah,
person's mom.
yeah,
And I feel like, what, I wish her well. I wish she
mm,
actually gets married to this guy and
mm,
everything, goes
yeah,
well for her. And the fact that now in Sunny Park, oh, that guy, I'm so sorry, but he
yeah,
passed away of COVID, Willem. He
yeah,
gave us difficult times to move into our parents'
mm,
houses. Imagine, like, you have a
yeah,
house, but you can't go into it,
yeah,
so I'm glad I'd be eventually trying to move back home right now.
amazing.
I think that will now bring more
Full
feelings.
circle,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is definitely a revolution up going on.
Okay, so we don't really have time left, but I think what I'd like to know is, I mean, you've taken the step. Yes, you were basically kidnapped off the street to go to rehab, but at some point you took ownership of that. Um, how is it that we can support you? Because as much as it's been 9 months, well, it's 9 months versus 15 years of dysfunction. Um, and I'd like to know how we can support you because I think whoever's listening here, whether they know you, they don't know you, they want you to win. What is it that you need? I don't think anyone asked you that question when you lost your parents. You you were the one who had to think about what your sisters needed, but no one asked you that question. What is it that you need from people in order to support you winning?
Well, I hope mostly, firstly, for all their prayers,
Mhm.
so that I keep and stay sober. And you know what I mean? Like their motivation.
Yeah.
I want them to motivate me. Maybe someone has gone through worse and has gone over it, and to share their stories with me so that I don't feel so alone in this
Mm,
mission. If they've had trauma, let's share the story.
yeah,
Because if one thing I learned at the rehab is when you share your stories,
yeah,
that's when things, what, revolutionize. Now you realize that I'm not the only one going through this.
mm,
You know what I mean? Social media, people just always post about perfect life,
yeah,
everything perfect. No one actually gets to share what happens behind the story.
mm,
That's where we get lost because now life seems so perfect that I thought I had to be that perfect person, but I don't
mm,
have to be perfect.
yeah,
And I want them to accept me the way I am. Like, I'm
mm,
not going to be perfect at
okay.
all, but I'm going to try my best.
Valencia, I love you.
Love you too, my friend.
God bless you. Thank you for sharing. You're phenomenal. And yeah, I think today's show was definitely one of the more important ones. Um, and yeah, I want you to win. There's so many comments have been coming up of support. I don't know if you can see here.
Yeah, of course.
Um, yeah, you're amazing, and I think all of you just want you to win. But I'm gonna need to wrap it up there. Thank you so much. Obviously, I remain in your life. I'm still here. Your story's not done yet. I'm thinking 6 months from now, I feel like you would have done something that warrants you coming back, for another conversation. But I think we just wish you well and God bless you. You're phenomenal.
Thank you, friend. And thank you for everyone that was watching.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Your media, where you are.
Many comments.